Radio Sri Lanka.
A very good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast. I am Malsha Dharmavardhana.
A very good evening. I am Charita Minipurarachi and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
The President stresses that the Ministry of Health assures the public that there will be no delay in obtaining medicine. Chinese Sinopec company signs an agreement with the BOI to distribute fuel in the country. Price of 50 kilogram pack of Bandi fertilizer will be reduced by 1,000 rupees from tomorrow. Ghana barrister Francis, who accepted the charge of making false complaint, was sentenced 2 years imprisonment, suspended for 5 years. Minister Bandula says Anuradhapura town will be made the hub of railway transport. India successfully launches the third moon mission. Sri Lanka bags 3 more medals in the Commonwealth Weightlifting tournament.
On to those and other stories in detail now, starting with your local stories. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has stressed that the Ministry of Health should assure the people that there will be no delay in obtaining medicines.
At a discussion held in the Presidential Secretariat today over the problems pertaining to the health sector, the President said that there should be transparency in all varieties of drugs and medicine in the country. The President points out that all data regarding the amount of medicine stored in each hospital and the amount of medicine that can be obtained per day should be uploaded in the special website of the Health Ministry. The network system will also help to exchange medicine among hospitals. The President instructed the health officials to quickly submit a proposal relevant to amend the National Drugs Regulatory Authority Act to ease the storage of drugs in the country without delay. The President also instructed the officials accelerate the approving process of drugs and medicine permitted by the US Federal Food and Drug Administration. The President further said that the possibilities of importing drugs directly should be sought instead of following the process of National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Authority. Retirement age of doctors will be extended up to 63 years until the end of next year. The President further instructed the Health Minister and the officials to take further decisions according to the needs of the Health Ministry and special situations. Rules and regulations should be amended to allow the students who have studied in art stream to be recruited for nursing training. Attention was also focused over the quality of imported drug equipment and injections and the public complaint regarding negligence of health staff engaging in treatment services. The President also noted that relevant authorities should sign the relevant documents to maintain the financial transparency. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also taken measures to appoint a committee to submit a report on the affairs of National Drugs Regulatory Authority. An official from the Treasury will also be appointed to this committee. Officials are also advised to amend the relevant regulations within 2 weeks regarding the medical officers who have not yet been registered under the Sri Lanka Medical Council. Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella, Chief of Presidential Staff Sagala Ratnayaka, President Secretary Saman Ekanayaka, Prime Minister Secretary Anura Disanayaka, Secretary to the Ministry of Health SJS Chandragupta and several others participated at this meeting.
We've had a full discussion and you told us what the problems are. Firstly, as far as budgetary allocations are concerned, that's for 67 billion rupees and that money we are now worked out, come to an agreement how the Finance Ministry and the Chief Financial Officer will spend it. Then comes availability of drugs. So already the Minister is talking with China and we'll further ask the Foreign Ministry also to get involved. With India, we are virtually coming to an agreement where we can access their stocks, but we'll take that up when you go to India next week. But more than that, we also have the issue of the delay as a result of the procedures that are followed now. that drugs by the FDA, they are also registered by UK, all get held up here. So I've asked the NMRA to go ahead now and immediately approve FDA drugs and the other countries which they have agreed with the Health Ministry, and the Health Ministry will then bring amendments to the NMRA Act which will enable them to act quickly and overcome all the difficulties. Interpretation of a section is up to us if someone, and then we can in the meantime make the other amendments. So with that, I think we've worked issue of the supply of drugs and payment for equipment, and we'll look at the procurement systems further, what has to be done. And we will meet in 2 weeks' time to ensure that all this is presented to Cabinet and the next steps are taken. Then of medical personnel who have not yet been registered in the SLMC, Health Ministry, SLMC and the Secretary to Prime Minister will have the necessary amendments to the regulations in the next 2 weeks. Kidney transplant for overseas patients are being allowed, and all applications for medical schools have to allow them in respect of, I think, Kuliapiti Hospital must be fully equipped. The Treasury also give priority so that Vayamba students will study at Kuliapiti and Kurunegala becomes available for the Kurunegala University College. We'll look at the full utilization of the KDU hospitals, and we have to ensure that there should be no excuse as to delay in people getting drugs. Next issue is the personnel available, so that the ministry will report to us what has to be done, and all health facilities must be fully utilized before we go in for new facility. We also want transparency in drugs, so all the drugs in Sri Lanka, there will be websites run by the Health Ministry which will say the total amount available and the amount available in each hospital, which will change daily as they consume the drugs, and the networking system so that even drugs can go from one hospital to another without having to go through the usual bureaucratic setup. And finally, of course, in training people, I don't think we have to change the regulations for nurses that even people with arts subjects can be taken up for training. And doctors' retirements, we've taken the position to allow them to go up to 63, and also for other special cases which the ministry will mention.
Meanwhile, the Health Ministry says that cause of death of female youth who died after the admission to the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital complaining of stomach pain is due to a rare allergy. This was revealed by the preliminary investigations. The Health Minister says, therefore, a decision has not been taken to remove the relevant injection from use. An open verdict has been given by the autopsy of the deceased girl. Meanwhile, specimen of the blood, tissue and stomach contents have been directed to the special test. After treating at the emergency treatment unit, she was transferred to the ward number 7 where she died. Director of the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital, Dr. Arjuna Tilakaratna, said that an issue has arisen regarding discontinuation of the said drug. He also said no decision has taken to discontinue it as the death was occurred due to an allergy reaction. Meanwhile, a protest was held at the Pirimatalawa town today, demanding an accepted investigation into the death of the girl. Meanwhile, views were expressed at several media briefings held today regarding a report that a patient had died at the Panadura hospital due to a cannula fixed to the patient. Media spokesman of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Chamil Vijay Singh, said that it is not yet confirmed and still there is only a doubt regarding the source of the allergy cause of the death. Meanwhile, Minister Mahinda Amaraveera says that a 50-kilogram pack of MOP fertilizer or Bandi fertilizer will be reduced by 1,000 rupees from tomorrow.
And he made this comment participating in the District Development Committee meeting held this morning at the District Secretariat in Polonnaruwa. A pack of 50 kg MOP fertilizer was over 22,000 rupees at the beginning of the cultivation season. However, the government recently reduced the price up to 19,500 rupees. In addition, at the beginning of this yellow season, the price of MOP fertilizer was reduced by another 4,500 rupees. Accordingly, a 50 kg pack currently sold at 15,000 rupees will be available at 14,000 rupees a pack from tomorrow. Minister Mahindra Amaravira says that if the country does not face any problems, the fertilizer price will further come down. He said that MOP fertilizer has been recently reduced by 1,000 rupees and urea fertilizer will only further come down from 9,000 rupees rather than increasing. He further said that decisions are on the way to supply one category of fertilizer free of charge in the next season. Former President Maithripala Sirisena, Minister Roshan Ranasinghe, State Minister Siripala Gamlath, Parliamentarian Jagat Samara Vikrama and Polonnaruwa District Secretary W.A. Dharmasiri and several others were present at this meeting.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that he expects to open Sri Lanka to the world in order to achieve economic growth. The President says that relevant law reforms in this connection will soon be enforced. The President made these remarks addressing the Indian business meeting at the chief guest at the Taj Samudra Hotel in Colombo yesterday. Indian business community offered a souvenir to the President in this function. The President further said that in the journey to economic prosperity, Sri Lanka hopes to maintain close relationship with India. President Ranil Wickremesinghe points out that financial policy introduced by Prime Minister Modi to develop the Indian economy will also be helpful to enhance Sri Lanka's economy.
Actually, that part of our trade, spices, were all cinnamon. The trade was dominated by the Kerala merchants who came to Sri Lanka and who got integrated into the Sri Lankan system. The Pathini Devalaya at Navagamuwa is one of the results of the Kerala influence and absorption into the culture of Sri Lanka. 700 years have passed since that occurred. But about 3 centuries ago, 1 century after that, the Portuguese came into our region and the prosperity of India and of the region vanished. By end of the 19th century, India was just 1% of the world GDP. Now it has changed. You can again see the transfer of economic power into the Asian region. 75 years ago, starting with East Asia with Japan, the rest of East Asia, Korea, China, coming into this area, now you find it's the turn of India and the Indian Ocean. It's not merely India that is rising. You'll find on the other side of West Asian countries, the oil countries. And Sri Lanka is positioned in the middle with a strategic advantage and just a stone's throw from India. With such a history, with such a culture and trading relations going back into 2,500 years, we have seen the world changing. India is fast developing. India has done rapid economic restructuring, especially under the government of Prime Minister Modi. And you can see the results now. Sri Lanka, unfortunately, had to undergo this crisis, but we are coming out of it. I thought we can't be dragging this out like Greece. We are not a Greek tragedy, but a country that can always recover. And as the country recovers, we have to get back to economic restructure. We started earlier, but we have slowed down. And we too, once the debt restructuring is over, we are already planning the growth agenda. A massive restructuring of our economy, of our laws, of our systems. So we would find that India and Sri Lanka be having the same system. But we want to build up a highly competitive economy which can compete with the world, a green economy and a digital economy. So this is what we are working at. So in this journey, we should go together. That's what we have done for 2,500 years. So my task now, when I go to India, will be as to look at what is the connectivity. How close connectivity are we to have? So first is decide what is the long-term objectives and goals of our two countries' relationship. We are going into a new age. We must go there together. And remember, development doesn't stop in India. In another 50 years' time, it will be taking place in Africa, around us. So in my view, what we discussed with Prime Minister Modi is what's our vision and what are we going to do immediately. This is important. We have to decide within the next 2 decades what is our relationship going to be with India and what's the connectivity. We can't be suspicious of each other. We have to work together. And remember, the relationship at the end is not driven by government. is driven by the people of both countries, and they are moving fast. So we have to keep up with it. The world is changing, and we've learned what happens when governments don't change. So now what asked is to go ahead, but then the idea is that we go there and we establish a long-term relation. It's not between two individuals, it's not between a BJP government and this government. It's a relationship between the two countries, and there's a lot we can do together, and that's the journey that we should go to. We have to open out to the world. For Sri Lanka, not only India, the whole of Southeast Asia, East Asia, the whole of RCEP, Australia, we have to be competitive. We have to negotiate a deeper trade agreement with the EU. World is ours to conquer if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, you are going to fail. So with this, I must thank the Indian CEOs who have been with us through thick and thin, especially the support you gave last year and occasionally for the fuel that LIOC also gave us.
State Minister Shahan Singh says that the local debt optimization process will cause no harm to the employees' provident fund or the employees' trust fund, or rather the pension funds. He made these remarks at a discussion held with the members of trade unions held at the Presidential Secretariat today. State Minister Shahan Singh said that the government carries out local debt optimization at present. Accordingly, treasury bonds of the central bank will definitely be subjected to restructure under more appropriate and reasonable system. President's Director General of Trade Union Saman Ratnapriya and a group of trade union leaders were present at this meeting.
Minister Dr. Bantula Gunawardena says that Anuradhapura town will be made the hub of railway goods transport process. He made these comments at a discussion held in Anuradhapura town today. After the opening of the renovated Northern Railway line, a train went to Jaffna yesterday from the test run. The train left from Kankasanturet station this morning for Colombo Fort. The minister planted a Pandukaram, the sapling, in front of the KKS railway station. Villagers in Chavakacheri area engaged in a protest over the railway department closing down unpermitted railway line. However, the minister mediated in the problem and provided solutions for the villagers. A discussion was held at the Railway Welfare Society office today on the railway projects in Anuradhapura division. Railway tracks and lands belong to the Railway Department and other development projects under the patronage of Minister Dr. Bantula Gunawardena. Indian project officials of the Northern Railway line, Railway Director Manager WDS Gunasinghe and several other officials were present at this discussion. Minister Dr. Bantula Gunawardena said that the government expects to transform Anuradhapura town into a railway city. This will become the hub of railway goods transport. A land extent of 73 acres in this sacred city can be used in this transport hub. This will also help to ease the traffic congestion in the Anuradhapura town. Container transport can also be carried out by the railway. The minister further said that constructing a new railway line from Anuradhapura to Mihintale Junction will be started within next week. Meanwhile, another 24 buses donated by Indian Credit Line were distributed to the depots in the northern province. Ceremony was held at the Doreappa grounds in Jaffna, headed by the minister. Under the Indian Credit Line, 32 buses have been allocated to the 7 SLTB depots in the northern province so far. We move into a short commercial break. We'll be back with more stories. Do stay with us.
Prima Katami Bantamai.
Sinopec Energy Lanka private company signed an agreement with the Sri Lankan Board of Investment today to distribute fuel within the country.
Sinopec company has invested a sum of $100 million for this project to import, storage and the sale of fuel. Under this agreement, 150 private fuel sales outlets will be given to the Sinopec company. In addition, the company expects to establish 50 new filling stations. Under the BOA agreement, Sinopec Energy Lanka Private Limited Company will be able to implement this project for a period of 20 years. State Minister Dirum Amunugama said that the Sinopec Energy Lanka Private Limited will be operating in the said 200 fuel stations in the future. He said that the company is allowed to encompass the import, storage and sale of fuel locally. He also added that the Energy Ministry will also receive a relief through this agreement, and in the meantime the country and the Treasury will receive $100 million investment. He also said that the pricing will only be done by the Energy Ministry as per the state regulated pricing formula, as on which is currently adhered by LIOC and CPETCO.
Now, a meeting between Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and a group of Chinese entrepreneurs was held at the Temple Trees yesterday. At the discussion, Prime Minister told them that there are many opportunities for investments in many sectors, including tourism, hotel industry, gem and jewellery. They also focus attention on international cultural exchange and global sustainable development promotion. The Chinese entrepreneurs pointed out that over 1 million Chinese tourists can be attracted to Sri Lanka yearly. Both parties agreed to jointly work out the Chinese tourist arrival. The Chinese envoys also agreed to support a program to empower women in Sri Lanka.
The key areas of the economy have been opened with restructuring of our economic enterprises, as well as in the process of relaxing most of the old laws that was sometimes considered the difficult areas for investment. All that has been changed and the process is on. So I invite that China, being the closest investor and friend, to take this opportunity of coming into Sri Lanka in the investment and promotional areas that are opening up. We have the Port City Development Project and Hambantota Development Projects, which are the key areas of Chinese investment, Secretary also mentioned, and also specific areas from which we could also learn from China. China established specific areas of development of zones, which you are representing today by some of the members who are in the delegation. So there's much to learn and cooperate and exchange and jointly work on, for which Sri Lanka is looking forward to. And Sri Lanka government considers as one of the high priorities also in the high productivity of our agricultural products, rice and other areas. High productivity harvest that we could achieve, which China in some areas have achieved. And agriculture development with digitalization is an important area where Sri Lanka has not implemented up to now. We look forward to the cooperation that you could extend. While we look forward to the investment areas, there is also, I think, in the delegation some members who are already working on disposable assets of various enterprises which are available for investment, which is another area where Sri Lanka is giving high priority, because we have hundreds of disposable assets which could be negotiated for investment.
And meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Aviation Day, organized by the Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka, held today. The event was aimed on revitalizing the aviation industry in Sri Lanka, which has faced unprecedented challenges due to the global COVID-19 pandemic. Collaborative efforts to rebuild and strengthen the aviation sector and strategies that will contribute to the sustainable future of Sri Lanka's aviation industry were discussed at the event. The event provided a unique platform for the industry leaders, policymakers and stakeholders to come together, explore challenges and identify opportunities for recovery and sustainable growth in the industry. Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripal de Silva, a delegation of foreign representatives from International Air Transport Association were also present on this occasion.
IATA is the pivotal point of air transportation in the whole world, and they, through their rules, regulations and all that, they ensure the safety of the flying aircraft, passengers, as well as the rights of the passengers are concerned. They lost their baggage, if the aircraft met with an accident, then in those events, how the compensation should be paid, all these things are monitored by them. And in the same time, they facilitate the airlines to improve their capacity and ensure that the latest legislation and the provisions are known to the respective airlines. They are in a better position to state about the world scenario of the airline industry now. You know, up to airline industry is one of the necessary industries. It's not so lucrative as you think. I think most of the airlines are not running at a profit, except Gulf and other areas where they have, government have extra money to siphon into the airlines. So in Sri Lanka also we did the same mistake, but we are not a Gulf country, but we siphon the money throughout. Every year $150 million to maintain our national airline. So anyway, it was our pride, but we paid so much for the pride and now we are in difficult. So therefore, the restructuring of Sri Lankan airline is a necessary thing for the moment, and so we are doing that also.
It is the first Aviation Day we are organizing in this region of Asia Pacific since the COVID-19 has happened, and so we have prioritized Sri Lanka and worked very closely with the industry to do this. COVID has left a very negative impact on the aviation industry, and between 2020 and 2022 the global industry has lost $180 billion, and Asia Pacific Airlines based here in this region account for 40% of that, over $70 billion. That's a very big number. You think about it carefully. It will take time to recover from such a massive downturn in the industry. We have started to see recovery happen. It's recovered quite strongly in some major parts of the world, like America, like the Middle East. In Asia, we are a little bit slower to recover because the borders were not open until more recently. Although Sri Lanka is one of the first to open, some other countries, the bigger ones, didn't open until quite recently. So it will take us some time to recover fully to normal. So as at May of this year, globally, the recovery is already at 96% of 2019 numbers. Right? International is a bit behind the domestic. Global domestic is already past pre-COVID levels. The international travel is at 90%. But in Asia, we are just at 69% in terms of international. And in terms of total, we are only at 84%. Sri Lanka actually ahead of the average in Asia, 71% in April. I'm quite sure that as the ecosystem ramp up, we will see stronger numbers by the end of the year. So that's the good news, that we can be optimistic that recovery is on its way. Momentum is very strong. The trajectory is in the right direction. But now we need to work together to make sure that the restart of aviation recovery is in the right pathways, which is why this Aviation Day in Sri Lanka is so important.
Prima Kutumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back with international stories, and moving to Chandrayaan. India is bidding to become only the fourth country to execute a controlled landing on the moon with the successful launch of its Chandrayaan 3 mission. India's space agency broke launched the attempt to land a spacecraft at the lunar South Pole, an unprecedented feat that would advance India's position as a major power. Chandrayaan, which means moon vehicle in Sanskrit, blessed off with the Satish Dhawan Space Center at Srinagar in southern Andhra Pradesh state at just after 2:30 p.m. local time today.
Remarkatomy, Phantomai.
Taking a look at your sports news, Chandrayaan Vidanage won a silver medal from the senior division of the Commonwealth Weightlifting tournament held in India today. Meanwhile, Indika Disanayaka also claimed a bronze medal in the senior division.
Chandrayaan Vidanage completed the event under 81 kilogram event. He lifted 128 kilograms on snatch method and 162 kilograms on a clean and jerk method. Chandrayaan Vidanage won the silver medal lifting outstanding 290 kilograms from the both methods. Indika Disanayaka completed for the 73 kilogram event. He lifted 130 kilograms on snatch method and 155 kilograms on the clean and jerk method. He claimed the bronze medal lifting outstanding 285 kilograms. This is his 6th Commonwealth medal for weightlifting. Meanwhile, MD Karunaratne won the gold medal in the 73 kilogram event from the junior division. He lifted 145 kilograms on the clean and jerk method and 110 kilograms on the snatch method, and accordingly, he lifted an outstanding amount of 255 kilograms.
Remarkatomy, Phantomai.
That's it on tonight's news on Rupavahini. Do join us tomorrow at the same time. Good night.
Good night.